Good morning, 7 East.
Happy Monday, everybody. It is Mr. LEPRE on this Monday edition of Free LEPRE Radio. It is a new quarter, it is a new unit, but it is unfortunately the same old quarantine. We are on the air for this Monday episode. No assignment today, so you can relax. You don't have any work to do for today, exactly. But this is our agenda. First, we have my State of the Class address and fourth quarter changes to announce. Second, we have our introduction to Unit 7, our second to last unit of the year. And the final segment of the day, the weird news that I found over the weekend. Never a shortage of weird news. Living in weird times, figures we should have some weird news, and the weird news never stops. So the State of the Class address, it's been a while since I did one of these. I think since after we came back from the February break, which feels like ancient history. But here are some facts for you. Today is the first day of the fourth quarter, and that means there are 44 days of school left, not counting weekends. Everyone always asks if I'm counting the weekends. No, I'm not counting the weekends because it's not a school day. 44 days of school left. We only have 2 units left for the year. Social Studies, Unit 7 and Unit 8. 2 of my favorites of the year. Personally, I like Units 4, 7, and 8 the best. So, I wish we were in person, but we're not. So I'm still going to try to make it as fun as possible remotely. In case you still don't know, the MGA is canceled, but if you finish part of it and want to submit it for extra credit, I will accept it if you send it to me, and we'll figure out how that extra credit will be counted for fourth quarter. More facts. As of today, New York is set to return to school on Monday, May 18th. It is once again possible that the closure will be extended. I've been told we will find out sometime this week, so I'm staying tuned for details, as should you. I'm continuing to run my after-school club Model Congress on Thursdays, where we debate political topics. If you would like to join, I can add you to our club Google Classroom. Please let me know if you're interested. Even more facts than you can possibly imagine. If we return to school on Monday, May 18th, that will mean we will finish Unit 7 together in person, but I doubt we will have a test or quiz for it because you're only going to be back a few days. If we return at that point, that also means we will have approximately 29 days of in-person school remaining. I'm hoping we have at least that much time. I remain optimistic that I will see you all again in person before the school year is over, because despite how bad things have been, things are getting better. Every day I turn on the news and things are getting a little bit better, not as fast as we would like, but things are getting better. And I'm anxiously awaiting that time where we can resume, going to places, going to movie theaters. I have been hurting my bank account by online shopping too much because I just can't go out in person. So hopefully my wallet stops bleeding and my bank account stops bleeding money. Changes for fourth quarter. This is not changes that I'm making. This is changes throughout the school. So a change for the entire school is this. Students must attend at least one Google Meet per class every week. Mine are on Mondays and Fridays. Just pick one to pop in for. I use the one on Monday now. I'm going to use it to go over the entire week and the unit, answer questions. Friday, it's going over the material that we just would have finished. You can ask me questions about the class, the content, if you need help with homework, even just questions about, things you might want to change with the class, like if you want to see more of a game or something like that, let me know in person. And as of now, the grading system for marking period 4, keyword 4, key number 4, will have 3 different options. Passing with distinction, which means going above and beyond the basic requirements of the class and knowing the essential learning and more. Passing, you are meeting the basic requirements and know the essential learning for the class. And needs improvement. You need to do more to meet the basic requirements and you don't yet have the essential learning for the class. So in fourth quarter, these are the 3 grades. Passing with distinction, passing, needs improvement. For marking period 3, we did not have 3 set up, and the actual 2 that are for the marking period are passing and needs improvement. So you're going to see one of those on the marking 3 report card. Second segment of today, introduction to Unit 7. I revealed Unit 7 on Friday, but now let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. So Unit 7, I did this last year. It can be summed up in one image. Soak it in for a second. It's like a before and after photo. So Unit 7 is all about this, a transformation that happens in America. You have the United States of America in 1800, this little kid dressed as Uncle Sam. 50 years later, the United States in 1850, this huge Uncle Sam, giant. A lot of difference 50 years makes. And this image forces us to ask one question. How? Unit 7's big question. How did America grow and expand to become one of the most powerful countries in the world? That's all we're trying to answer this unit. How did America grow and expand to become one of the most powerful countries in the world? And you can measure power in a lot of ways. It could be the military, the economy, the land, the size of the population. We're going to look at all of that. Now, here today on this first episode of the new unit, I'm just going to give you a kind of pictorial introduction to westward expansion. Many of you might be wondering, well, what is westward expansion all about, and what do we learn? Well, the short answer is that this unit is about how America got all the land that makes up the United States today. There's more to it than that, but it's basically about that. The long answer to this question will take us 4 weeks to answer, but here's a preview of the kinds of things we learn about. Fun unit, a lot of different topics. Should get a lot of interest, I hope. Lewis and Clark expedition. I'm going to be posting a video for that today if you're interested in learning about the Lewis and Clark expedition. We kind of touched on this with the Thomas Jefferson notes, but now we'll look on it in a little bit more detail because it involves literally expanding westward. The Alamo and the Texas Revolution. We're going to look at that also this week. So the Alamo, many of you may have heard the story or know the basics of it, but we're going to learn about that. There was also a movie about it made in 2004. I think I'm going to rewatch it. I remember it came out when I was like in 7th or 8th grade. I actually like it even though it didn't get good reviews. Mexican-American War. A lot of people didn't know that Mexico and America actually went to war. But yes, there is a war between Mexico and the United States back in the 1800s. We're going to learn about that this week as well. It's our Thursday assignment. California Gold Rush. California Gold Rush 1849. That is the reason why the San Francisco 49ers are called the 49ers. They're named after those people who came to California to find gold in 1849. A lot of fun stuff for that. Oregon Trail. You've been waiting for this all year. We're going to learn about the Oregon Trail, and part of our learning for it is going to be not just a video about it, but we're also going to play the game, Oregon Trail. And some of you already got a sneak peek of this on Friday, and it was very interesting. Several of you had members of your crew perish. Others were robbed. Some people got defrauded. Lots of interesting plot lines already happening with our playing of the Oregon Trail. Construction of the Erie Canal right here in New York. If we were going to Albany, which too bad we're not going there this year because of what has happened, but there was an amazing exhibit on the Erie Canal at the State Museum in Albany that we saw last year. And this is actually more interesting than you might think. Oh, what is it, a big hole in the ground with water? Yes, it is, but there's more to it than that, especially when it comes to how it was made. And we're going to go over that too. That's going to be in 2 weeks, though. Age of Invention. Many of you might find this interesting, especially if you're on the technical side. This is the time period where a lot of inventions, the early versions of modern things get invented. Dynamite gets invented during this time. The locomotive and the railroad. You have some early construction equipment like the steam shovel in the bottom left. Photography and the camera. The telegraph. This is a huge time where people start to experiment and make new inventions that we've inherited today. The telephone. How could I forget that? Also invented during this time. And we're going to go over all the major ones later on as well. Industrial Revolution. You can't talk about invention without the Industrial Revolution. This is a time now when factories and machines start doing all the work and people start kind of becoming a smaller part of the labor force. And that's going to lead to big changes that you're going to see in 8th grade. Construction of the first transcontinental railroad. I love this photograph. Some guy on a horse racing a train, and clearly that horse is not going to win. But this is one of the big things that happens in American history, and we're going to learn about it. You're actually going to learn about it also kind of at the beginning of 8th grade next year. And of course, you can't talk about westward expansion or the West without talking about pioneers, cowboys, the Wild West, and all that fun stuff. And I'm going to make sure we have the time to talk about some of those famous outlaws and train robberies from the Wild West. Fans of Red Dead Redemption 2 and all what I'm talking about. Here's our calendar for the week of April 27th. So today you just have this episode of Free LEPRE Radio. I'm also going to post a video of Lewis and Clark Expedition. I want to use some of the information from that video in the GIM kit that we're going to play on Friday. I'm not doing 2 this week because you won't have enough information to play. Hopefully by Friday we have a lot of stuff to add to it. Google Meet at 12:30 today. You can ask me about any of the things that we just went over in this video. I can give you a sneak preview of the Oregon Trail game. I've been spreading the link around. Tuesday, another episode of Free LEPRE Radio. Your assignment is American land expansion questions. We're basically looking at how this puzzle of the United States got finished. How did America get all the land that makes up America? And you're going to go through the slides, or you can watch the video and answer the questions. Then Wednesday, it's all about Texas. Not a Cowboys fan, but some Cowboys fans out there might enjoy the focus on Texas. We're going to talk about the Alamo. We're going to talk about Texas independence and Texas becoming part of the United States. That leads directly into Thursday, and there's no assignment on Wednesday, by the way. But on Thursday, we have a video on the Mexican-American War documentary. I tried to keep it under 20 minutes. I give you a question sheet, kind of like what we did for the War of 1812, and I give you the minute of where to find the topic that the answer or the question is about. Friday, May 1st, 1st of May. By the way, Thursday, you're not going to have Free LEPRE Radio because you already have a video and it's pretty long, so I don't want to overwhelm you. So on Friday, Free LEPRE Radio episode 28, we're going to review the Mexican-American War, the outcome. I'll talk about how America gets Oregon, which is going to lead into our Oregon Trail stuff. There's no new assignment on Friday. We have a Google Meet at 12:30, and we'll end the week at 2 o'clock, 2 to 2:30, with Mega GimKit 8, covering pretty much all the information that was in Westward Expansion from Monday to Friday. So that is your week at a glance. And we're doing Oregon Trail next week for 2 days, or more than that, actually. So don't get discouraged. We're playing the game next week, so we still have GimKit, though, this week. Final item on our agenda, weird news. News is always weird. Weird news, story number 1. Couples sailing around the world had no idea about the coronavirus pandemic. I've seen several of these stories, actually. So there was a British couple. They went sailing around the world in their private boats. And I guess they didn't have any internet or cell phone service because they came back and they had no idea what was going on in the world. They probably didn't even know about Kobe. Story number 2. Man busted for taking his fish on a walk during pandemic. So this is in Spain. Apparently there was an exception to a law saying you had to stay in your home. You were allowed to go outside if you had a pet that needed to stretch its legs. In this case, this man had a pet goldfish, and he brought it out in its fish tank. You can see in the bottom right there is a still of the video. You see the fish in the bowl on the bench. I support this man and his fish walking, even though the fish doesn't have legs. But, you know, it's nice. Fish get some fresh air. Kinda. Story number 3. Florida jogger dons costume to cheer up the neighborhood. So, Corey Jurgensen runs along East Henry Avenue wearing an inflatable unicorn costume. Jurgensen had been wearing the costume during several runs this week to cheer up others during time of isolation, but finds it therapeutic for herself as well to run through her Seminole Heights neighborhood wearing a silly costume. I have to admit, though, if I saw someone in this costume running down my street, I'd probably call the police, because I've never seen anything good follow someone in an inflatable costume running around during a pandemic. And it's kind of funny that the only thing not covered is her face. She shouldn't have a mask on. She should at least have a mask on that unicorn. You can take that horn and turn it into a mask. So those are your weird news stories of the week. And that is the episode for Monday. So take a look at that Lewis and Clark video. Familiarize yourself with the weekly calendar. Make sure you're checking in with the other classes, especially the Google Meet, since that's a requirement now. This is Mr. LEPRE signing off. Have a good Monday.